Welcome back, everyone. After our last deep dive on ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, I'm still chuckling at some of those jokes those scribes snuck in.
Ah, those ancient Egyptians definitely had a sense of humor.
They did. But today, we're trading the pyramids for the Parthenon.
We're venturing into the realm of ancient Greek philosophy.
Exactly. Get ready for a deep dive into some of Plato's most famous analogies, the sun and the divided line. Now, I know what you might be thinking, analogies.
A bit abstract, maybe.
Maybe a little dusty, but trust me on this. These aren't just some stuffy academic concepts. They're powerful metaphors that offer some surprisingly insightful ways to think about knowledge, truth, and even how we understand reality itself.
They really do. What's so brilliant about these analogies is how Plato takes these complex philosophical ideas and makes them relatable using everyday images.
Right. It's like he's giving us this ancient wisdom, but in a way that anyone can grasp.
Exactly. He's using imagery that would have been familiar to his audience back then, things like the sun or a simple divided line.
And these analogies come from Plato's famous work, The Republic, right?
That's right. The Republic is this incredible exploration of justice, ideal societies, and the good life. And to illustrate his points, he uses these brilliant metaphors that we're going to unpack today.
It's amazing how a book written around 380 BCE can still be so relevant today.
It really is a testament to the power of Plato's ideas.
Okay, so let's start with the sun analogy. In this one, Plato compares the sun to something he calls the form of the good.
And this is where things get really interesting. The form of the good for Plato isn't just some vague notion of goodness. It's the ultimate source of all knowledge and truth.
Okay, so is it kind of like the sun in the sky? But instead of illuminating the physical world, the form of the good is illuminating, like the world of ideas and understanding.
Exactly. Just like the sun allows us to see everything around us, the form of the good illuminates our minds and allows us to understand the world, to understand concepts, to understand truth.
So without it, we'd be stumbling around in the dark, both literally and intellectually, right?
Exactly. Imagine trying to find your way around a pitch-black room. You wouldn't be able to see anything. You'd be bumping into things.
Oh, I've been there. Midnight snack runs can be treacherous.
Right. But with a light switch, suddenly everything becomes clear. You can see where you're going. You can see what's around you. And in the same way, the form of the good is what allows us to see the truth, to understand the world around us.
Got it. So it's not just about seeing. It's about the very ability to comprehend.
Right. Precisely. And here's where it gets really powerful. This analogy isn't just some abstract philosophical concept. Plato is saying that anytime we feel lost or confused, like we're in the dark about something.
Like when you're trying to assemble furniture from those impossible to decipher instructions.
Exactly. It's a sign that we need to keep searching for that illuminating form of the good. We need to keep asking questions, keep exploring, keep seeking deeper understanding.
So even if we don't fully grasp this form of the good, the very act of seeking it brings us closer to understanding.
Absolutely. It's like we're all on this intellectual journey guided by the light of the form of the good.
I love that image.
Yeah.
Okay, now on to the divided line. From what I've heard, this one is a bit more intricate. But hey, we're up for the challenge, right?
Of course. In this analogy, Plato uses a divided line to represent different levels of knowledge and reality.
So it's kind of like a ladder, with each rung representing a higher level of understanding.
A ladder to enlightenment, you could say. There are 4 main sections to this divided line, and each one represents a different way of knowing, a different level of reality.
Intriguing. So what's on these different levels of the divided line then?
The first 2 rungs represent the visible world, the world we experience through our senses.
Okay, so is that like the most basic level of knowledge?
Exactly. Think of shadows, reflections, images. Plato argued that these are just copies far removed from true knowledge.
Like those blurry selfies you try to delete before anyone else sees them?
Something like that. Then we step up to the second rung, the world of physical objects, the things we can see and touch directly.
So like this table, this microphone, the coffee mug that is definitely not empty. Those sorts of things.
Yes, those. But even these objects, Plato argued, are still just shadows of something deeper, something more real.
Wait, so the stuff we experience in the physical world, the things we can see and touch, that's not the most real. Mind blown.
That's where the top 2 rungs of the divided line come in. These represent the intelligible world, the world of ideas and concepts.
Okay, so we've climbed from shadows to objects, and now we're getting into the realm of, like, pure thought.
Precisely. The third rung is about abstract thought, things like math, logic, reasoning. We're using our minds to grasp concepts and relationships, but we're still not at the highest level.
This is where I usually need to take a break. Too much thinking.
No worries, we'll take it step by step. Now, the fourth and final rung, the highest level, is the realm of the forms.
Ah, yes, the forms. Remind me again what those are all about.
For Plato, the forms are the eternal, unchanging essences behind everything we experience. Think of it this way. You can have many beautiful things in the world. A stunning sunset, a masterpiece painting, a perfectly crafted joke.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
Exactly. But all of those things, as different as they are, share something in common, the concept of beauty.
Okay, I'm following you. So the form of beauty exists beyond any one beautiful object. It's like the blueprint for beauty itself.
Exactly. And Plato believed there are forms for all sorts of things: justice, truth, goodness. These forms are the ultimate reality for him, the foundation of everything else.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. We got these four levels: shadows, objects, abstract thought, and then the forms at the very top, those ultimate realities. But why this order? Like, why did Plato structure the divided line this way?
Well, he believed it represents our journey to knowledge. We start down there with those basic perceptions, the shadows, the reflections.
Right, those kind of fuzzy, not quite clear perceptions.
Exactly. And then as we move up the divided line, we get to the physical objects, things we can actually interact with. And then from there, we climb further up to abstract thought, using our reasoning, logic, even math. Each step of the way, it's like we're getting closer and closer to understanding those forms, those core, unchanging essences of things.
Oh, okay. I see. So it's not like we just suddenly see the forms, right? It's more like this gradual process of moving up that divided line and kind of refining our understanding along the way.
Precisely. It's about training our minds to look beyond those initial perceptions, beyond the physical world, and grasp those deeper, more fundamental truths.
And that's where the form of the good comes back in, right? It's like the sun shining down on the top of that ladder, illuminating those forms so we can see them.
Exactly. The form of the good is what makes it possible for us to understand the forms, to see them clearly. Remember, it's not just an idea. It's that source of intelligibility itself.
Okay, I think I'm getting it. So we have the sun analogy showing us how the form of the good is like this ultimate source of knowledge and truth. And there's the divided line, giving us a picture of all the different levels of knowledge and how we kind of climb up towards understanding the forms. But how do these two analogies really connect? What's the common thread running through them?
Well, in both, it's this idea of striving for enlightenment. It's about moving from those shadows and reflections, those limited perceptions, to a much deeper, richer understanding of reality.
So both of these analogies are basically saying, hey, go beyond what you see on the surface. Don't just settle for those initial impressions. Keep questioning, keep seeking out that higher level of understanding.
Yes, absolutely. They're a call to action, encouraging us to keep pushing ourselves to see beyond the surface, to seek out those deeper meanings. It's all about the pursuit of truth.
I think that's why these analogies have been so powerful and resonated with people for, thousands of years now. They're not just some abstract concept,
Yeah.
They offer this whole framework for how to approach knowledge, how to seek out truth, which I think is something we're all trying to do.
And they've had an incredible influence on Western philosophy and thought in general. I mean, thinkers throughout history have been grappling with Plato's ideas for centuries, debating and building upon them.
Wow, what a legacy.
Uh.
Okay, so before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap for our listeners. We started with the sun analogy, where that brilliant sun up in the sky represents the form of the good, that ultimate source of knowledge.
And just like the sun illuminates the physical world, the form of the good illuminates the world of the forms, right? It allows us to truly grasp knowledge and truth.
Exactly. Then we moved on to that intriguing divided line, which shows us Plato's whole theory of knowledge. It's like a map of our journey from basic perceptions all the way up to true understanding, with the forms being that highest level of knowledge.
Right, a map to enlightenment, you could say. And we talked about how both analogies really emphasize the pursuit of that deeper truth.
They do. Okay, now, before we go, one last thought-provoking question for you, dear listener. We've been talking about these forms in a general way, but what forms do you think are the most important in your own life? What eternal ideas or principles really shape how you see the world?
What are those guiding lights for you? What are those underlying realities that influence your decisions and actions? It's something to really think about.
Maybe it's something like the form of justice or the form of beauty or, the form of a perfectly grilled cheese sandwich. whatever it is for you, take a moment to really consider those core principles that shape your own reality. And hey, maybe we can explore this further in a future deep dive. But speaking of the future, next week, we're jumping from ancient Greece to the cutting edge of technology.
Get ready for some mind-bending discussions about consciousness, ethics, and artificial intelligence.
That's right. Maybe we'll even throw in a few robot jokes along the way.
Until then, everyone, keep searching for that light of the form of the good.
And don't be afraid to climb that divided line, even if you stumble on a rung or two. It's
Yeah.
all part of the journey, right? Wow, artificial intelligence. Just thinking about it makes my head spin a little. And we haven't even started talking about robots yet.
It is fascinating, isn't it? That's part of what makes philosophy so engaging, I think. It pushes us to consider these really big questions and to look for connections between things that might seem totally separate at first glance.
It does. It does. You know, speaking of learning and growing, I have a confession to make.
Oh.
When I first encountered these Platonic analogies, I'll be honest, I wasn't sure what to make of them. All this talk about forms and shadows, and it seemed a little out there, you know.
Oh, I can totally relate to that. It definitely takes some time and effort to really wrap your head around these concepts. But once you start to see how they work, how they fit together, they can provide some pretty amazing insights into how we understand the world and ourselves.
That's true. Like you were saying earlier, it's a journey. And even if we never fully grasp the forms, you know, in all their perfect eternal glory or whatever,
right.
the process of seeking them, of questioning, of just trying to refine our understanding, that's incredibly valuable in itself.
I couldn't agree more. It's all about developing that critical thinking, learning to see beyond those surface appearances and constantly pushing ourselves to find deeper meaning.
And I think that's a takeaway we can all apply, regardless of what we believe or where we come from. These analogies remind us there's always more to learn, always deeper truths waiting to be discovered, and that journey of seeking knowledge is a lifelong adventure.
Well said. An adventure we get to share together.
Indeed. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our philosophical adventure for today. Thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into Plato's world. We hope you found it illuminating, maybe even inspiring, and maybe you're feeling ready to climb your own divided line, seeking out those forms that give meaning to your life.
Until next time, keep those minds sharp and remember, there's always more to learn, more to question, more to explore.